I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
You're not on trial for being a dwarf.
Oh, yes I am. I've been on trial for that my entire life.
Have you nothing to say in your defense?
Nothing but this. I did not do it. I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had. Watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores. I wish I was the monster you think I am.
I am Tyrion Lannister, the imp of Casterly Rock, the shame of Lord Tywin, and the most notorious joke in all of Westeros. Standing there at the trial in King's Landing that moment, facing a hall full of hypocrites, I finally understood a truth. In this world, if you are an outsider, even your breath is a sin. For as my father once said, I am a curse born to destroy my house. But who could ever know that this curse once yearned for just a tiny glimmer of warmth in the beginning? When I look back on the day I was born, I was already branded with the sin of matricide. My mother Joanna died giving birth to me, and this became a grudge that my father Tywin could never let go of for the rest of his life.
Why?
Why? You ask that? You who killed your mother to come into the world? You are an ill-made, spiteful little creature, full of envy, lust, and low cunning.
Within the high, thick walls of Casterly Rock, the first thing I learned was how to face this hostile world. Yet in this dark childhood, my brother Jaime was the only one who treated me as family. This was the only warmth I had left. When I grew into a man, I thought that if I were clever enough and wealthy enough, I could buy happiness, and even dignity. So I squandered my fortune in the brothels of Westeros, numbing myself with alcohol. Then I followed the king's entourage all the way north, and in the bitter cold winds of Winterfell, I met that bastard named Jon Snow. In his eyes I saw myself, someone who was also regarded as a disgrace by the family.
Let me give you some advice, bastard. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor. It can never be used to hurt you.
What the hell do you know about being a bastard?
All dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes.
This was in fact a maxim I had repeated to myself countless times. But fate is a shoddy playwright. Its favorite trick is to land a sucker punch when the plot takes a turn. Before I could fully recover from the bitter winds of the north, that foolish woman, Catelyn Stark, abducted me and took me to the Eyrie. Standing in that sky-high cell called the Sky Cells, I realized for the first time just how absurd the Game of Thrones truly was. Fortunately, Bronn, that greedy Sellsword, stepped forward to defend me. A trial by combat saved my life, and it also made me understand that loyalty is a rare commodity in this world. But gold is always reliable.
Lannister always pays his debts.
When I escaped the Eyrie alive, only to learn that my pervert brother Jaime had become a prisoner of Robb Stark, with the lion and claw broken and my father too busy salvaging the family honor on the battlefield. House Lannister truly had no one else to turn to, so I was sent back to King's Landing, appointed as the acting hand of the king. The gods must have a twisted sense of humor, entrusting the most despised imp in the entire city to clean up the mess left by that cruel fool Joffrey.
We've had vicious kings, and we've had idiot kings, but I don't know if we've ever been cursed with a vicious idiot.
You can't!
I can, I am!
They attacked me!
They threw a cow pie at you, so you decide to kill them all! They're starving, you fool! All because of a war you started!
You're talking to a king!
And now I've struck a king! Did my hand fall from my wrist?
I admit I'm addicted. The feeling of slapping my nephew across the face is more intoxicating than the finest Dornish wine in all of Westeros. But slaps can't drive away real enemies. Ultimately, I'm the one who has to clean up the mess. So when Stannis' army came knocking, it was I who carefully planned the wildfire, letting that green hell devour the enemy fleet on the Blackwater. And when the flames soared into the sky while that foolish nephew of mine was cowering and calling for his mother...
Savaris Samandon, stay with my uncle and represent the king on the field of battle.
This half-man led the charge on the front lines to hold the gates. I risked my life to defend this wretched city. I thought it would earn me some respect, even just a little. But when I awoke wounded, all that remained on my face was an ugly scar. What I never expected was that my father, Tywin, would strip me of every ounce of credit. In his eyes, even after saving the entire city, I was still just a pawn to be moved at will. For the sake of the family interests, he forced me to marry Sansa. At that absurd wedding, I drowned by rage and helplessness in wine. Looking into Sansa's terrified eyes, I realized with painful clarity that whether lion or wolf, we were all but unwilling pieces on this bloody board of power.
Stop. Can't. I could, I would.
But your father...
If my father wants someone to get fucked, I know where he can start. I won't share your bed. Not until you want me to.
What if I never want you to?
And so my watch begins.
But this bitter cup was not yet drained when another more deadly feast had already begun. At that purple wedding, Joffrey died like a choking toad. Tacite, that though immensely satisfying, also sealed my eternal doom. Cersei's accusations coiled around me like venomous serpents. But I never thought that the very knife that would pierce my heart in the end would be Shay, the whore I picked up in the army camp. I believed that even if the entire world despised me, at least one person could see the true heart beneath my ugly flesh, watching her on the witness stand, using the very words of love I had whispered to her to humiliate me, mock my body, and trample my dignity. In that moment, my heart turned to ash.
I will not give my life for Joffrey's murder, and I know I'll get no justice here, so I will let the gods decide my fate. I demand a trial by combat.
At the height of my anger, I roared for a trial by combat. It was originally a desperate throw of the dice, but to my astonishment, Oberyn Martell, the Red Viper, stepped forward to be my champion court to avenge himself against the Mountain. I truly believed his vengeful fury would carve a path to survival for me. Unfortunately, that Dornishman died because he talked too much. Any sound of the Mountain crushing his skull was the pronouncement of my death sentence. In this family that so desperately wanted me dead, only my brother Jaime was unwilling to watch me walk to my end. He appeared at my cell with the keys late at night.
Oh, get on with it, you son of a whore.
Is that any way to speak about her mother?
What are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? Galley's waiting in the bay bound for the free cities.
But I could flee like a coward, not in this disgusting red keep. There were still some entanglements that had to be settled. I slipped into the Tower of the Hand only to find Shay in Tywin's bed. With the golden necklace Tywin had bestowed upon her, I strangled her, and with my own hands choked the last remaining shred of my illusion about love. Immediately after, I took up the crossbow and sought out the man who sat upon the privy, my father, Tywin Lannister. Soon as the bolt pierced his body, he still refused to acknowledge that I was his son.
You're no son of mine. I am your son. I have always been your son.
On that journey of exile spanning Essos, I drowned myself in drunken oblivion, letting myself rot in the mud until the legend of the Mother of Dragons forcibly pulled me out of it. She was once the only flicker of light I could grasp in the endless long night. For a dwarf like me, burdened with the grave sin of patricide, I desperately needed a new faith to sustain this gasping, broken body. Immarine, I saw her. In her eyes I saw the desire to reshape the world, different from Cersei's madness, which only sought to destroy everything. Carrying this badge as a token of trust, I crossed the narrow sea with her and returned to Westeros. Confidently, I devised the strategy to take Casterly Rock. Yet, I always seemed half a step behind. My schemes have failed, time and again, yet I naively clung to the hope of winning victory without spilling more blood, only to find that I had lost not only my father's ruthlessness, but also my former sharpness. It made me weak, and even more so, it made me foolish. and that foolishness in the end dissolved into a choking terror amid the billowing smoke and dust of Rosby Road. Standing on the high slope, I watched the foreign army I had brought slaughter my own family's soldiers, as Drogon in flames reduced everything to ashes. And in that scorched earth of death, my brother Jaime, he did not run. That fool, still so proud, so fearless, riding his white horse and lowering his lance, he charged toward Daenerys. Not until that moment did I understand. When the flames of vengeance truly burned the flesh and blood of my dearest kin, I could never stand by as coldly as I had imagined. When the Night King fell, the war of the living truly began. As we stood beneath the walls of King's Land, I was still making a final effort. I tried to persuade Cersei to surrender, even if for the child in her womb, but I forgot that Cersei was an unreasonable madwoman, and I failed to notice that Daenerys was no longer the queen who liberated slaves. The bells rang, signal of surrender and the beginning of a massacre. I watched helplessly as Drogon spewed flames across the sky. Innocent people turned to ash, and the Red Keep crumbled amidst the roar. I rushed into the ruins and saw Jaime and Cersei embracing in death. They came into this world together, and they left together, leaving only this flawed creature, me, to survive alone. Among the rubble, the glory, sin, love, and hatred of House Lannister were all reduced to nothing.
You freed your brother. You committed treason.
I freed my brother. And you slaughtered a city.
In fury, I tore off the hand of the kingpin, because these hands saved no one. They were only stained with blood that could never be washed clean. I didn't die, nor did I find release, in that dim prison cell awaiting execution. In order to end that endless inferno, I had no choice but to commit one final act of betrayal. I wove a web of honor, duty, and fear, slowly tightening it around Jon Snow, guiding him to plunge the dagger into the queen's heart. I smothered with my own hands the only faith I had ever clung to, and dragged that righteous man down into hell along with me. As a prisoner, I was unexpectedly given one more chance to influence the course of events. Faced with a kingdom in ruins, we chose a new king, Bran Stark, a faint shadow who could see through past and present, yet had long lost all sense of sorrow or joy.
You will be my hand.
Oh, your grace, I don't want it.
And I don't want to be king.
This man is a criminal. He deserves justice.
He just got it. He's made many terrible mistakes. He's going to spend the rest of his life fixing them.
Once again, I became the hand of the king, but this time it wasn't for faith. Nor was it to prove the wisdom of House Lannister to anyone. It was merely the shackles of a penitent. That tumultuous era has truly ended. There are no more deafening dragon roars, no more whispers of intrigue and conspiracy. Only I remain trapped within these walls of the Red Keep, which has lost its very soul, arranging a council table that will never be fully occupied. Perhaps this is my greatest punishment,